Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei. Previously, on our first episode, we tried to start our descent down this Daedalus tower. Didn't really work out in our favor now, did it? Part of that was because I tried gaming the system and I failed horribly. Part of that is just, that's kind of how the early game of this game is. It's pretty tough and it pulls no punches. So, a lot of old RPGs are like that, especially dungeon crawlers like this. But what we are going to do is we are going to recruit a little frog friend to help us out on our travel. If this is your first time seeing a Megami Tensei game, one of the big mechanics in the series is demon negotiation, in which you can request things of certain enemies. Some of them are just like mindless beasts that'll just attack you, but sometimes you can give enemies items or money or whatever you have on you. Sometimes they'll even ask in certain games to like drain some of your HP or MP. And they'll give you things in return, and because of that, you can also have them be recruited as party members, which is kind of the big main, I don't want to say gimmick, but system that defines the Megami Tensei series. So it's pretty cool. As you might have noticed there too, if you have a demon recruited, like say we have Heket recruited, if we talk to a mob of enemy Hekets, they'll be like, oh, you're cool because you're hanging out with our friend, and they'll just leave us be. I believe in this game it is also the case, as with most other games, that sometimes you'll talk to them and they'll be like, oh, you're friends, you're friends with one of our own, and then they'll like toss you some cash and then leave you alone, which is really nice. But I think it's a little bit more rare in this game if it does happen. I'm pretty sure that does exist in this game. I'm just not thinking of it right now for whatever reason. But yeah, other than that, really, the only other thing I have to say is that it's good to recruit as many demons as you can right away here, just because it will make the game a lot more easier. Even if they aren't the best, like Heket's technically the worst demon in the game to recruit. But we have another meat shield that we can use to take hits for us when we're exploring the dungeon, which is nice. Even though he only really has like a measly 7 HP. I'm actually not sure why I didn't summon him right now. Probably, I think I probably just wanted to grind for Maca and Magnetite before I really got in deep there. So that's actually one thing I should explain. Every time you summon a demon, it requires some of your Maca, which is that bottom number there in the upper left-hand corner. And Maca is what you use to buy like weapons, armor, items, all that. It's like the basic currency. And then what you also have is your Magnetite, which you don't spend on anything. But every time you have a demon summoned and you walk, that Magnetite meter is going to drain. Basically, it's a way of making sure that you don't have a shit ton of demons out at once that are too powerful, because the more powerful a demon is, the more payment they require in the form of Magnetite. So every step you take, basically, if you're getting to a point where the random encounters aren't giving you enough Magnetite, and you're starting to run out of Magnetite, the demons will start to drain HP until you basically have to, they either die or you have to return them to the comp. And that's just kind of like a self-balancing thing, just to make sure that you don't have a bunch of a shit ton of really good demons in a spot where you really shouldn't. That being said, in this game, the balance for that is completely fucked. We're going to hit a point where you're not even going to be noticing that Magnetite counter, because they just don't give a shit in this game. They hand out Magnetite like candy. Some of the later games can get really stingy with it. I recall Soul Hackers, there was a few places where I was like, oh shit, I really need to run with a not full party right now because my Magnetite's getting really low. But this game, yeah, you really don't need to worry about it all that much. I want to say around the time we hit the third dungeon, we're going to be rocking a party of 6 pretty much at all times. And honestly, I think part of it too is just the fact that, I might have explained this already in the first episode, but there really aren't a lot of recruitable demons to choose from in this game. Only so many of the races are even recruitable. And there's only so many fusion possibilities too. Just the pool of recruitable demons that you can get in the first game here just is not all that impressive. And I'd say that's probably my big criticism with it, is just there'll be times where you'll have a bunch of demons and it's like, oh god, like I can only get like 4 or 5 results and I have like a party of 7. And sometimes there's like weird gaps in between where it's like, oh geez, like it's gonna be 6 more levels before I can even fuse my next demon, just because there's so few options to choose from. There isn't even a demon to cover every level, I don't think. I don't even think there are, enough demons to really take that into consideration. So, kind of a shame, but we'll make do with what we can get. And in some ways, actually, I guess you could say that this game really mimics just the traditional dungeon crawling style. It almost feels at times in this game that the demon recruitment mechanic isn't a highlight of the game in and of itself, just because it kind of feels sometimes like it kind of creeps into the background. Whereas in later games, you're just fusing all the fucking time. And also, I think what that guy means is only 4 demon classes can be recruited. I can't remember. I'd have to look at a table of all the classes, negotiated with, because you can definitely recruit, or you could fuse demons of classes that you can't necessarily talk with, but yeah, I think there's only 4 classes of demons you can actually talk to, and then the rest are just not even, like, they'll just go berserk. So, more pink worms, just kind of rolling through all of those random encounters. Look at this. Fucking Dryad. So every time I see this enemy sprite, I'm reminded of the self-immolating trees in Earthbound, which is maybe one of my favorite JRPG random encounters of all time, because for those of you not familiar with Earthbound, it's just a fucking tree with a smiley face on it, and then when you kill it, it just explodes and does a shit ton of damage to you. So, like, the whole strategy with any random encounter where those trees are in is like, oh god, save the tree for last, or else you're just gonna fucking die, and it's not worth it. It's really funny. But yeah, as you may have noticed as I talked over it, we kind of creeped back up to explore part of the 7th floor here, and we got a little bit of a few hints, I guess, but not really much. If you want to just not even explore this part of the dungeon, I'm sure a lot of players don't even bother, just because there's nothing really here. Just Fairy Dryad. I guess if you want to fight a slightly more powerful enemy, actually I don't even know, looking at how easily we just kicked his ass there. He's not very impressive. And actually, one thing in this game too is some of you who've played the other Mega 10 games might be familiar with the fact that sometimes you try to recruit demons that don't really mesh well together, and you'll get a slime. The slime doesn't exist in this game, oddly enough, despite the fact that we have, like, Foul Blob and, like, Pink Worm and all that. There's no actual just, like, straight-up slime enemy. So what we have instead is those dryads. Every time you want to try and fuse a demon combination that just, like, it doesn't work out, you'll get a dryad. So that's kind of fun, but it's just kind of weird that it's this, like, demons by default become this weird tree thing if they don't gel well. It's just kind of funny, I guess. We have a shield now, which is dope. Still need to get a helmet, though. Be safe. Always wear a helmet. Every time I'm like, I don't know, I can't even judge, because honestly there was a shit ton of times in high school, like, before I had my car when I rode my bike, and I'm, like, almost positive I didn't wear a helmet, but, like, man, every time I'm, like, driving to work or whatever, and I just see, like, a kid biking to school, and he's not, like, in a helmet or whatever, I get, like, really nervous. It's like, you have so much to live for, don't waste your life. But, it's cool. While we have downtime, I think maybe I should tell the story of the time me and my friend saw a child get hit by a car on our way to high school. And it's actually not, like, a completely horrific story. There's no gore involved, I promise. It actually is not as bad as it sounds. It's just, like, a weird thing I've viewed in my life where, it was early, like, probably, like, 7:20 in the morning or some shit, and I was carpooling with a dude who I hung out with a lot, and we were, like, good friends all throughout high school, but, like, we never carpooled together, even though we lived pretty close. It's just the fact that I lived closer with other people, so I always carpooled with them. But I was driving him, and I can't remember what the problem was. He might have just had car troubles and didn't want to take the bus or something. But, I picked him up, and then we were driving, and we were parked at a stoplight, and we were watching as this lady was just slightly too slow on braking, and she like gently tapped this kid who was biking, like crossing the crosswalk on his bike, and like the kid in the most like slow motion, like gentlest way possible, like his bike just tipped over, and he got up and he looked completely fine, and the lady just like, you could hear her scream, and she just like ran out of the car and was like, oh my god. And, like, the kid was, like, a little shaken up, you could tell, but he was completely fine. Like, it was the gentlest car tap I have ever seen in my life. Though, that being said, I've never seen anyone else get hit by a car in my life, thank God. But it's just something I think back on, like, every now and again. Because, like, I remember my friend even kind of, like, gave kind of a nervous chuckle, but, like, we totally could have seen some fucked up shit that day if that lady was going any faster. It's just a weird thing I think about sometimes. Also, look at this fucking Banksy quote, like, on this fucking wall here. I'm sorry, but we just got someone trying a little too hard to be poetic on this Daedalus Tower wall, and I'm not having it. We're on the 5th floor, so, you know, that is progress. Slow but steady, we're getting there. More Hecats. Not really much enemy variation yet. Those bird people are still around. I think they're introduced on the 6th floor. Oh, we got this. So yeah, sometimes, just like a lot of dungeon crawlers, you go into a specific room and there's like a specific enemy encounter there, so... No ghost we can't handle. Just gotta deal with that and walk the fuck out. Actually, that Dryad we fought previously was another one of those fixed encounters where every time you go into that room you can fight a Dryad. I don't know if it's this video where I showed off, but sometimes if those encounters that are fixed are like particularly powerful and give a lot of experience, sometimes it might be worth just going in and out of the room over and over again if you have enough healing, just because that's a fast way to grind for experience points. Though, naturally, as you get more powerful, and as you level up more, those enemies will reward less experience points. I'm fairly certain I read somewhere that Megami Tensei 1 was one of the first few Japanese role-playing games to include level, or like experience point scaling by level as a concept. Which I can't, you know, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like there's a lot of JRPG fans that want to credit their favorite series of any given type to, like, be the first at inventing something or whatever. So, you know, it might be the case, it might not be. I kind of take every claim like that with a grain of salt on the internet nowadays, because God knows when I was younger I got wrapped up into that, you know, a lot more than I do now. These orcs ain't too bad. They can, you know, kind of clobber a little hard sometimes, but honestly, it's one of those things where you got the proper equipment and you're fine. This game in particular, I do think, well, Hecat's not fine. He is a squished frog, but oh well. I think this game in particular, equipment really matters a lot. A lot of the times, actually, honestly, pretty much every time I have the option of spending my cash in a JRPG, I always buy weapons first, just because I find that more fun. But I do think that I am kind of in the wrong in this game, in particular. And also, these will-o-wisps are annoying just because they're not super powerful, but just, like, it takes forever to fight these fucking things, because they come in large groups, and they're not really tanky, but they have a good amount of HP to go around. So, I'm a little burpy today, I apologize for that. But no, as I was saying, yeah, I think I am kind of in the wrong in this game in particular case. I do think that armor is probably going to serve you a lot better in the long run to save up and buy that first, and then maybe have your weapons be second. Especially later on in the game as we get into different parts of the dungeon, and you have 4 really powerful demons, probably, if you're playing right, backing you up to kind of get you out of sticky situations. Nakajima and Yumiko are useful party members, but I mean, they're not your only party members. They're only 1/3 of your total possible team, so, you know, you can forego a little bit of extra offense and play it safe and just make sure that they don't die, because, you know, as I said before, if both of those humans go, it's game over. So they're kind of like VIPs in a sense, and that's actually something I'll always defend. Not just these games, but games that have that mechanic in particular. I do really like games, well, I don't say I'd prefer them, but I do enjoy games where when the main character dies, or when a specific character dies, it is game over, even if the rest of your party is alive. Just because that does, and also we finally got that fucking chainmail, hell yeah. Nakajima is safe, at least for the rest of this dungeon. Or is he? But I'll leave that up for you to view. Yeah, I don't know. I just really like that idea of having a character that you kind of need to protect from all harm, like I said, a VIP character. Even like in the Persona games, like that rush when like a Mudo spell goes over the main character, and it's like, is that gonna be an automatic game over because I got unlucky, or what? You know, even Nocturne has that too. Digital Devil Saga doesn't. Yeah, DDS. I'm pretty sure Surf can die, and it's fine as long as the other two are out and about. But yeah, like Nocturne, Persona, any of those games, just like that main character goes, and it's like, well, all of your fucking hard work, all of it was for nothing, because you did not protect your main character good enough. And I know a lot of people, probably rightly so, think that's bullshit, but it really is kind of one of those risk versus reward things where you always have that one nagging fear in the back of your head, like, oh god, my main character can bite the dust right now, and it's just, everything is for nothing. And that adds a real tension and a struggle to the game that I feel like gets lost when it's not there, and I personally enjoy that stress, but also I feel like I'm in the minority on that, and people just kind of want to leave that behind. Oh god, it's one of the 4 elemental fiends from Final Fantasy 1. Oh no. So, you gotta know this is fake, because what fucking giant-ass, like, dragon is gonna be like, yo, just pay me 100, like, give me a Franklin, you know? Like, if you're gonna extort 2 teenagers exploring hell, you gotta at least go, like, 200, 250, you know? Anyways, I hope Alex Jones never plays this game, because that NPC encounter alone would give him a heart attack. Actually, okay, now that I word it like that, I kind of want him to play this game. Someone please email a Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei ROM to Alex Jones, though also I do not think he is smart enough to know how to operate an emulator. So, that's kind of a shame. Yeah, also, items in this game? Really fucking expensive. It's nice to stock up on the status effect healing items. There are the 2 at the end there. One of them temporarily raises your max MP. That can be useful. I don't really invest in them all that much, but they are useful, especially towards the end of the game, and you kind of have like an abundance of wealth that you don't really know what to spend it on. God, wouldn't that be a good problem to have in real life? But the one that temporarily increases your HP, I think is just, it's so fucking pricey, and it's just not worth it in my opinion, because, you know, you get hit once, and like, are those temporary HP points really adding all that much? Personally, in my opinion, they aren't. It only adds, I think, like 25 to 50. I could even be over-exaggerating, but it ain't much, so, you know, if it drops and we have it in our inventory, maybe use it before a boss fight or something, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy those probably until near the end of the game, so that's how that goes. We're on the 3rd floor here. We're already over halfway. This has been going good. And we're going to double back up a little bit here. That's one thing that I do appreciate this game having, is there already is kind of like branching paths and weird nooks and crannies and secrets to discover, like our goblin friend back on the Was it this floor? I don't remember what floor the goblin dude was on, but it's fine. I think it was this floor. Well, the 4th floor. Now we're on the 5th. But yeah, those just some, you know, good maps of all of the areas. That's one thing I really like doing in in these Let's Plays, just because it can be hard to track down maps of these older games. And I want to be a resource for those that, you know, need them, just to scroll through the video and kind of find a good, decent in-game map of where the hell they should be going, or kind of get a good grasp on the layout. Though, in my opinion, getting lost can be half the fun sometimes, but it's all good. Exposition is always nice. You know, not just demons, friend, but that's a story for another time. I do always enjoy anytime hell is depicted in any fiction, and like all of the demon leaders are just like bickering assholes, and they're just all trying to overthrow everyone else. Like, it's great. That's one of the few elements of the standard Dungeons and Dragons lore, or I guess just, I don't know if it's just Forgotten Realms or whatever the default setting is of 5th edition. I always get, they all kind of combine in my head because there's so many and I'm bad at distinguishing them because I didn't grow up with them. I just really like the idea that there's all these different, like, areas and aspects of hell, and it's divided up, and everyone's trying to backstab each other, and there's all these different areas that are divided by different people, and sinners that go there get punished in different ways depending on the section. I've honestly always been a big fan of Dante's Inferno, not the terrible EA game, but, you know, the classic that would go on to inspire such literary greats such as Devil May Cry, which honestly I think has more literary worth than the Divine Comedy. I just don't think that Dante, the real person, ever was really able to match the writing of "I could have been the one to fill your dark soul with light." I really think, like, that's just, you know, hundreds of years from now, when people are looking back at this period of human history, they're gonna be like, this fucking Devil May Cry thing was, like, next to Shakespeare, one of the most important parts of the, like, literary canon. And at the time, people just, you know, they just overlooked it. It's such a shame. More zombies. We don't have enough demons to even go into this this next encounter without, you know, we don't even have enough demons to have, like, a meat shield thing going on, but I believed in myself. I thought we could take on this harpy. I like to think of this harpy as like a kind of a mid-boss, if you will, for this first dungeon. Because if you go in unprepared, this harpy will kick your ass. But if you have proper equipment and a few levels behind you, like my two characters do, not the worst thing in the world. Just I'd be a little conservative on your healing and just make sure that you know, play it safe. And if you're getting low like Nakajima is here, heal up. Actually gonna show off using the jewel here. See, just brought him all the way back to full. I do believe the turn order part of this game, when they decide who goes in what order, I do think actually if you choose a healing option, that being said, I also think it's the case if the enemy chooses the healing option, they will get some degree of favoritism or priority in the turn order. So keep that in mind. If you're kind of playing ballsy, it's not guaranteed. I don't think that you'll get the heal first, but you do get a little bit of leeway there. But I guess right there it just showed off we got hit before we could heal. But usually healing comes out pretty quick in the overall order of things. And we got a new spell, which is always nice. Oh, okay. Peace. Sometimes shit like that happens. Even this game, as simplistic as the first stab at negotiation is, there's weird little quirks like that and goofy little encounters you can get into, or sometimes demons are just like, I don't want shit to do with you. They're like, oh damn, they took out that harpy. Fuck that, just fucking go on ahead. Don't want to deal with it. I don't know if we get to it in this recording session or not, but one thing to be aware of is that you cannot talk to demons on a full moon. What the fuck am I talking about? On a full moon. When the full moon hits, the demons become full moon, and they just refuse to talk to you, and you'll waste your turn, and they'll just attack you right away. And we got tricked by these orcs, which is unfortunate. Sometimes that happens. But yeah, just one thing to keep in mind. You see that full moon? Just make sure... Oh, well, we convinced them to fuck off by being cowardly, which... kind of the story of my life, to be honest. Never heard of it. Also, which world are we talking about here? Because, like, we kind of got the shitty dungeon underground world, or, like, the real world. Could be an Atlantis situation. That could be what happened to Atlantis, to be frank. Like, what if it just descended down into hell, and it's, like, accessible through some weird mound in Japan? We'll never know. It's so weird sometimes to me just how, like, you'll get these random bigger rooms like this in this dungeon just because so much of this game is just kind of more, like, maze-like in hallways, and sometimes they're just like, yeah, big room. Fuck it, why not? I genuinely am curious how much, like, how a lot of these first-person dungeons get designed. And this is also the most... Well, I guess, honestly, I don't want to call it a useless tip. We just so happen to have run into the goblin already, but I'm sure for players who didn't even realize that there was another path there, I'm sure that tip is useful. You may notice that there is quite the weird gap in the floor plan there, so we might have to check that out at some point, kind of see what the dealio is. But how do we access it? Well, we'll have to find that out later. But you may already know the answer if you've been observant. These things are cool. Damn. I'm not a fan of this guy's attitude. And he's casting light spells on us, which in this game are not an instant kill. I guess technically not light, but expel. Oh, Jesus Christ. The only people being instantly killed are us, because we were not prepared to handle Boggle. Kind of boggles the mind to think that we are here at Charon's place once again.